Sheikh, I think you can start.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Welcome back to another session of the stories told by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And today, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, by the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will be looking at a hadith of a story of the three individuals who sought shelter in the cave. And this story is all along the theme of seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the good righteous actions that you have done before, inshallah. So without further ado, let's go into the hadith. It's narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar. And inshallah, bi'idhnillah, like always, I'll narrate this hadith in a padded fashion form or in a paraphrase form. If you like the context of the hadith, you can read the hadith, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, while three men were walking, it started to rain, and they took shelter in a cave in a mountain. So these three individuals, they, wanted to talk about outside. They wanted either to go and to, visit someone, or they wanted to go for a stroll, but they left their houses. And it was night time, and it started to rain. And the only place where they could seek shelter was a cave nearby. So they went into this cave. When they went into this cave, a big rock rolled down from the mountain and closed the mouth of the cave. So now they're inside this cave and there's no escape. And remember, it's raining outside, and they're trying to push this rock and they can't get this rock open or move the rock at all. Anyway, the cave opening means, and it's raining outside. And they know this is their doom. Why? Because it's raining outside, it flooded, and therefore because of the flood, the rock closed the mouth of the cave. And if people, look for them, they wouldn't know that they are in the cave. How can they know? And they can't follow the footprints because the rain would have washed the footprints away. So they in a state whereby they're in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no one else that can help them in any way, in any form. Because if they shout, maybe the boulder is so big and so large that the voices cannot be heard outside. And they're in a state maybe of darkness in the cave because there's no light inside. There's no opening at all. So they are in extreme need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can help them. So what happens? They said to each other, think of good deeds which you did for Allah's sake only, and invoke Allah by giving reference to those deeds so that He may remove this rock from us. So one of them said, amongst them, they said that the only way we can actually be saved is when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through our pious, righteous deeds that we done for Him alone. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of these deeds that He should open the cave. He should allow the rock to move, this big boulder to move. So what happened? One of them started to speak. So remember, they will now be speaking about good actions that they have done. So one of them have said, "Oh Allah, I had old parents and small children, and I used to graze the sheep for them. On my return to them in the evening, I used to milk the sheep and start providing my parents first of all before my children. One day I was delayed and came late at night and found my parents sleeping. I milked the sheep as usual and stood by their heads. I hated to wake them up and disliked to give milk to my children before them. Although my children were weeping because of hunger at my feet till the day dawned," meaning until the morning. So what happened? He was busy, taking sheep out to graze, and he had to go a bit further out. And when he came home, it was nighttime. But his usual routine is that he milks the sheep and he gives to his parents first before giving to his children and his wife. But when he came home and he milked the sheep, his parents was asleep. And he did not want to wake them up. This shows you the righteousness of this person, the piety of this person. He's showing kindness towards his parents. He does not want to wake him up. And because his routine is that he gives preference over his children, he gave his parents preference over his children. He did not want to give his children before his parents drink from the milk. So he kept the milk until morning, even though his children was hungry. It shows you, subhanAllah, the piety. Why? Because if you have children, you don't want to see them to be hungry. You don't want to hear them crying out of hunger, but yet that burning desire inside to give his children that milk, he did not at all in any way follow that desire, but rather he wanted to show piety and righteousness towards his parents and waited until they wake up before he gave them the milk. So he said, "Oh Allah, if I did this for your sake alone or only, kindly remove the rock so that we could see the sky through it." So Allah removed the rock a little and they saw the sky. So this is known as tawassul. Tawassul, seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by means of something. So the means here was the good action he did. This action of being kind towards his parents, righteousness to his parents, that action drew him closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted his dua, accepted his supplication. Okay, so the theme is seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through righteous deeds. Remember, there were three individuals. The second individual, he says, "Oh Allah, I was in love with a cousin of mine, like the deepest love a man may have for a woman. I wanted to outrage her chastity but she refused unless I gave her 100 dinars. So I struggled to collect that amount. And when I sat between her legs, she said, 'Oh Allah's slave, be afraid of Allah and do not deflower me except rightfully by marriage.' So I got up." Okay. So what happened here? Here you find a man who was deeply in love with a cousin of his. He loved his cousin as much as a husband loves his wife, like a man can love a woman. So he had a deep desire for her. He loved her. And he wanted now to sleep with her. He wanted to satisfy sexual urges with her. But she said no. The only way to work, the only way you'll get that right, if you give me 100 dinars. Dinars, that's gold coins, so 100 gold coins. So he struggled to collect that amount of money. So he worked to get that amount of money. So when he got that money, he then, sat between her legs to commit the act, this evil act. But while he was sitting between her legs, she said, "Oh Allah's slave, be afraid of Allah. So fear Allah and do not deflower me except rightfully by marriage. So if you want to actually enter upon me, rather marry me first. Do not at all in any way, commit this evil act." So I got up, meaning he left. Okay. What happened here? This is a great action. A great action. Subhanallah, for individuals in this state, if you have the ability and the power to satisfy your sexual desires and you're in that state, it's very difficult for you just to stop and move on and to leave. It's very, very difficult. That's why I find individuals, they go and they're raping others and so forth. But this individual, he was, in that situation and had all the power to commit this evil act. But the cousin of him told him to fear Allah, and the fear crept into his heart, and he couldn't go on with his action. So he stopped himself from following his desires, and he left. So that is a great deed. So this is actually rewarding by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll discuss more about this. To curb your desires is rewarding by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. To protect yourself from an evil act or to protect your chastity is actually a good action in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a great action in the sight of Allah. So he said, "Oh Allah, if I did it for your sake alone, please remove the rock." The rock shifted a little more, meaning they still could not leave, it moved a bit. So the first one, the sky opened up, they could see a bit of the sky, but they couldn't leave yet. The second one, he made a dua, it moved a bit more, but they still could not leave. So now I move on to the third individual. Then the third man said, "Oh Allah, I employed a laborer for a portion of rice. And when he finished his job and demanded his right, I presented it to him, but he refused to take it. So I sowed the rice many times till I gathered cows and their shepherd from the hill. Then after some time he came and said to me, 'Fear Allah and give me my right, my wage.' I said, 'Go and take those cows and the shepherd.' He said, 'Be afraid of Allah. Don't mock me. Don't make jokes. I mean, the wage was rice, and now you tell me to go and take all those cows? Don't mock me.' I said, 'I'm not mocking at you. Take all that.' So he took all that." Okay, what happened here? So there was a laborer, so basically an employee, and the wage was rice. So when the employer gave the wage wanted to give to his employee the rice, the employer did not want to take the rice. But a long time passed, days, months, years, we don't know, probably years or so, or months. But while the time passed, the employer took this rice and, as I said there, I sowed the rice many times. So because of the rice, more rice came. Then he invested the rice, meaning maybe sold the rice, and then because of this rice, he bought cows, and the cows maybe multiplied, and because of that, he might have gotten a slave, like a shepherd. So it all came from that portion, that wage, a bit of rice, and he invested that, and he got all of the cows and a shepherd. So long time afterwards, the employee came back and said, "Give me my wage." And then the employer said that, "What do we see there of the cows and the sheep? That's yours." And the employee said, "Do not mock me. Don't make jokes, man. I want my money. I need my money now. I need my wage." So he said, "I'm not mocking you. Take all that." So he took every single thing and did not leave anything behind. He left nothing behind for the employer, and he took every single thing. So it shows you the greatness of this action. What is the greatness of this action? The greatness of this action is that you are preserving the rights of the employee. A lot of people do not know that if you protect the rights of the employee and if you treat them with kindness, it's actually a great act of worship. And again, fulfilling the trust. He was entrusted with that wage and he kept that trust. So this is a great action, subhanAllah. How much of us would actually do that? Invest money and not get anything out of it, and you give everything away to the person and invest it. You will not do that. And so this is a great action instead of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah, he says, "Oh Allah, if I did that for your sake only, please move the rest of the rock." So Allah removed the rock. This is found in Sahih al-Bukhari. So let's look at the benefits derived from this hadith. Benefits derived from this hadith. Number one, permissibility to seek nearness to Allah through pious and righteous actions. This is known as tawassul, seeking a means of nearness to Allah Almighty. So what does this mean? What is tawassul? You are seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The tawassul, there are different types of tawassul. We'll be doing it now, inshallah. But the tawassul in this hadith is seeking nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by means. So you seek nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to achieve something, but you do that through a means. And the means in this hadith is righteous deeds. So you want something from Allah, so you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through your righteous deeds for that. So through your righteous deeds, that will allow you to become close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You seek that nearness, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you whatever you want. So this is tawassul, seeking a means of nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawassul either by your actions. So what are the types of tawassul? Seeking a means of nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first type, tawassul by means of Allah Almighty's attributes. So that is His names and His attributes, and we'll do each one in detail. First one is tawassul by means of Allah's Almighty's attributes. The second type, tawassul by means of belief in Allah Almighty and in His Messenger. The third type, tawassul by means of righteous deeds, that is found in this hadith. The fourth type, tawassul by means of stating the condition of a person. And the fifth type, tawassul by means of supplication made by a righteous person. So let's look at the first type. The first type, tawassul by means of Allah's Almighty's attributes. This could be done in a general term or a specific term, or a general sense or a specific sense. Okay. So let's do the first one, general sense. An example will be found in a hadith. This hadith is a bit long, but the part whereby I would like to speak about it is whereby the slave says, I ask you by every name which is yours, with which you named yourself, taught anyone from your creation or sent down in your book, or which you kept to yourself in the knowledge of the hidden with you, that you make the Quran the nurturer, the life of my heart, the light of my chest, the removal of my sadness and anxiety and of my anxiety. This is a hadith. This is dua you make if you are in anxiety or sadness. You make this dua. But how did we achieve that? What was the means? What are we using as the means to remove the sadness and anxiety? We are using the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this case is a tawassul by means of Allah's names in a general sense, as in He sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying, I ask you by every name which is yours, with which you named yourself. So with all the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we ask Him because of all of these names, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should grant that your anxiety and sadness should be removed. So the means is the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a general sense. Then you get tawassul by means of Allah Almighty's attributes, but in a specific sense. So in a hadith, it's mentioned, it says, O Allah, I have done great injustice to myself, and none can forgive sins except you. So forgive me, forgiveness from you, and be merciful to me as you are the most merciful, or as you are the most forgiving, the most merciful. So again, how did we achieve that? For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us, in this hadith, forgive. We achieve that by using a name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Two names. The first is that He's most merciful. So we say, because He's the most merciful, He should grant us that. And because He's the most forgiving, He should forgive us. So because of these two names, we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us forgiveness, to grant us mercy. So we're doing it via a specific name from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or specific attributes. So this is the first type of tawassul, by means of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's names and attributes. The first one will be general sense, and the second will be a more of specific sense. So for example, in our terms, we are mentioning here the example of the hadith. But if you, for example, want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you rizq, you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, oh Allah, you are the sustainer, grant me sustenance. So using Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name to grant you, and to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you that sustenance. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has of His attributes, you can use that again to become close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and use it as a means to become close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant you your desire that you want. Okay. The second type, tawassul by means of belief in Allah Almighty and His Messenger. In the Quran, in Surah Imran, Al-Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and he's saying, Our Rabb, verily we have heard the call of one calling to faith, saying, believe in your Rabb, and we have believed. Our Rabb, forgive us our sins and expiate from us our evil deeds, and make us die along the abrar, the pious and righteous believers. Okay, so we're asking something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But what is the means here? The means is we're telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we believe in Him. So because we believe in Him, He should grant us that our sins are forgiven, and He should forgive us, and He should expiate our evil deeds and make us die along those who are pious and righteous. So again, it means that you are using Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us something. Okay. So you can say, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I'm a Muslim, I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, grant the ease, whatever you would like. You can use Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to believe in Him. Amanna, we believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The third type of tawassul by means of righteous deeds, and this is what we spoke about in the Hadith, the story of the three individuals who sought shelter or sought shelter in the cave. Okay. The fourth type, tawassul by means of stating the condition of the person. Nabi Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, when he made dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he left, Misr, Egypt, and he left into Madian, and he was alone, and he made this dua: Oh my Rabb, oh my Lord, I am in need of whatever good that you bestow on me. So he's in need. So he's telling Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he is in need. So he's stating his condition. So he's saying, I'm in need, oh Allah, bestow upon me good. So one of us can say, Allah, I'm in need, I'm poor, grant me sustenance. So you say your condition. So you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through your condition that you are in, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should grant you that. So you are describing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala your condition, and then you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because of my condition, grant me that. So he was in need, so you wanted some good from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of this dua, we know what happened there afterwards. So much things they happen after that, of him actually getting married thereafter. Okay. The fifth type of tawassul, by means of supplication made by a righteous person. So in this hadith, Anas bin Malik radiyallahu anhu narrated that a man entered the mosque on the day of Jum'ah, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was giving the khutbah and said, O Messenger of Allah, the livestock are dying and the roads are cut off, so supplicate to Allah for us that He should give us rain. So the Prophet ﷺ raised his hands and supplicated and said, O Allah, bless us with rain 3 times. And he did not descend from the mimbar, the pulpit, until the rain was dripping from his beard. So it was raining. He made this dua. So we as well can go to righteous individuals. The Prophet ﷺ was the most righteous of individuals. So they approached him to make dua. And we as well can go to individuals who we deem to be righteous, to be pious, and ask them to make dua for us. So you're asking them to make dua for us. So you go to them and they will now make dua for you. So this is whereby you're asking individuals to make dua for you. So This is the fifth type of tawassul by means of supplication made by a righteous person. And this is what we normally find. We ask people to make dua for us, especially those going on Hajj. We ask them to make dua for us because they are doing a great action, ibadah, and they are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you know anyone who's righteous, a person, for example, who's always in the masjid and reciting Quran and making tahajjud and those good pious actions, we can look at the apparent and we can deem this person to be righteous, and we can ask the person to make dua for us as well. Okay. Benefits derived from this hadith number 2. Permissibility of making dua at time of grief and hardship. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, and your Lord has said, ask me and I'll answer you. And this is something that we covered last week as well. We spoke about this, that if you do not ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His anger is on you. His anger is on you. You have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you're in hardship, you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is when we should ask. We should ask before that. But if you're in hardship without us, being able, to have known about the hardship, then we make, once we're in that hardship, we're driving a car and then afterwards you find that you have a puncture and you don't have any spare wheel. What do? You ask Allah, you make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the first thing you do, make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You don't wait until someone come or does not come and then you start to make dua. You start your dua when it happens. This is depending on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we'll, go more in detail as the different, as the other benefits, come up, inshallah. Benefits derived from this hadith. Pious companionship promotes goodness. The evidence, speech of one of the individuals to the other. 2, think of good deeds which you did for Allah's sake only, and invoke Allah by giving reference to those deeds so that He may remove the rock from you. Example of a perfume shop, even though you have not bought any perfume, the fragrance will still land on your clothes. Okay. This hadith states that if you are in good companionship, good company, there will be individuals who always advise you to do good. There were one individual, there were maybe a group of individuals, and they had someone that was good, was a pious individual. As you can see, the good actions they've done, they're all pious, and so therefore they advise each other to do good. So as long as you're in good company, then you will be in goodness. It's like the hadith the Prophet Muhammad mentioned. A good company is like a person enters into a perfume shop. Even though he does not buy anything, he will leave with that. He will leave with, with traces of the perfume on him. He goes into the shop, he goes out, he didn't buy anything, but he still smells the perfume. So the good company will rub off on him, become better. And because if you're in a good company, individuals will actually encourage you to do good. So if you see yourself not to be a person that will do good all the time, just go into good company. Go into the mosque, go to the masajid, go to where people are doing good, and then you will see they will encourage you to do good. So if you see yourself, that you are in need of changing your life around, then the best will be is to seek for those individuals who are close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to spend time with them, and they will advise you to do good. We spoke about this in the first hadith we done, the first hadith of the 99, the person who killed 99 individuals. He was told to go to a different town. There will be good people to help and advise him to do good. Likewise here, as long as you're in good company, you'll see goodness will come from there. If you're in evil company, you will see evil come from there. If you have evil friends, they will they have peer pressure. They will force you to do bad, and then you will do the bad. But if you're good people, they will just, encourage you to do good things. Benefits derived from this hadith number 4. Sincerity is the major reason for actions to be accepted by Allah. Evidence, oh Allah, if I did this for your sake only, kindly remove the rock so that we could see the sky through it. Again, sincerity, your sake only. So the question is, when we do things, are we doing for other people or for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake? Very important. Because all of these actions we found of these three individuals who asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of the righteous deeds, they done it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only. They did not do it for any name or any fame. They did not do it for any money, for any wealth, no, for any status. They did it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. So actions should be done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, always. If you do not do it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, then will it be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Then it can't be accepted because you're not doing it for Allah. So if you're not doing it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, it can be a means of shirk as well, associating partners with Allah, because you have to do things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, now you're doing it for other people. So you're doing it for other people, you're not doing it for Allah. So if you're doing it for other people, you might do it for Allah, but then you are associating a partner with Allah, because you're saying that other people is Allah, but you're doing it for them and you're doing it for Allah. Like a person can make salah, you can make salah for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, but then you can commit shirk. How? By making salah because others are looking at you, because now you're making salah longer and more beautiful in its way, in its postures and all of these things. So you're not doing it for Allah. You are actually doing it for Allah in a way, but you are actually as well doing it. You perform your salah so others can see how beautiful you perform your salah. So you're actually situating a partner with Allah, because you're saying that I'm doing it for Allah, I'm doing it for something else. So you're actually worshipping for others and you're worshiping for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the actions mentioned in this hadith is the actions done for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake alone and no one else. So that's actions accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because of the hadith, really all actions are judged upon the intentions. What intentions do you have behind it? A person might sleep at night and he sleeps. When he wakes up in the morning, he gets no reward for that sleep. But if he slept for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, then that entire sleep will be rewarded. So how do you sleep for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake? If you're saying, if you sleep with the intention, so if tonight all of you sleep with the intention that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you energy in order for you to wake up for Fajr. So you're sleeping, why? Because you need energy to wake up for Fajr, so that entire sleep will be rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if you just sleep because you're tired, there's no reward in that sleep. So every action is judged upon the intention. These individuals, they've done all those actions for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. The first done because you want to be kind to Allah, kind to his parents, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders that. You should be kind to your parents. The second, feared Allah. The third, fulfill the rights. This is order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So all of them done it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. Benefits derived from this hadith number 5. Allah Almighty places one through trials and difficulty to get nearer to Him. If Allah loves a person, He tests them. Or if Allah loves a people, He tests them. This is very important. That a lot of times, okay, how do we refer this to the hadith? What happened? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed that boulder in front of that cave. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could just have let that boulder, roll away. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed them in a difficulty. Why? For them to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because only then they thought of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you'll find many of us as well, sometimes we are heedless of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're not worried about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala places a calamity in your life. And now you get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you. And that's the reason why He's actually placing a calamity and a trial in your path. Because He knows by the trial you will go back to Him, you return to Him, and now you'll be closer to Him. And if you're closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, again, like I mentioned, your life becomes blissful. He wants that from you. And of course, closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, more reward, therefore, Jannah, paradise. And although you must find in the hadith, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, no fatigue, no disease, no sorrow, no sadness, no hurt, no distress befalls a Muslim, even if it were to prick, even if it were the prick he receives from a thorn, but that Allah expiates some of his sins for that. So whatever you go through of difficulty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is expiating. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is removing sins. So What does this mean? It might be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants a high place in Jannah for you, an extremely high place in Jannah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that you will not do the good deeds to achieve that high place, but He has it for you there. So what does He do? He places calamities in your path so that you have to have patience with the calamities, and then you draw closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And because of your patience, He forgives your sins and He raises your rank higher and higher in Jannah, and you become closer to Him in this world, so that you can achieve that Jannah. So it's very important to note that these individuals who are trapped in this cave, it might have been a trial for them to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if a trial, that if you do experience difficulties in your life, hardship in your life, it might be that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is loving you at that moment of time because He wants you to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Benefits derived from this hadith number 6, power of Allah to move the boulder. Okay. So the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to move this rock. Evidence: Allah commanded the boulder to block their path, and Allah commanded it to move away from the entrance. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the boulder. No one came to push the boulder, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala done that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do whatever He wants. It's not difficult for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do it. If you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on your side, then whatever you want, He grants you that. When scholars speak about what is, the sweetness of faith, what is that? What is contentment? And they go on to say that contentment is that if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He grants you that. That is pure contentment. There's no better contentment than that. If you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is on your side, and if you want something, grants you that to you. How do you attain that? You attain that by becoming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These three individuals attain that by becoming close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through the actions and deeds they have done. And if we are closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whatever you ask, He grants us that. What better contentment could you ever want in your life? So again, the power of Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do whatever He wants. He's the creator of all of the creation that you have. He's the creator of your anxieties. He's the creator of your sadness. So He can give you and grant you happiness. He can grant you whatever you want of your desires. So that's very important to note that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power to do whatever He wants. And if you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with you, close to you, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, will be happy to give you whatever you want. If you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala a handspan, He comes to you an arm's length. You come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala an arm's length, He comes to you the length of 2 arms stretched out. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala walking, He comes to you running. This is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to come closer to Allah. Benefits derived from this hadith number 7. The impact of taqwa on removing oneself from grief and trials. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, whoever has taqwa, Allah will grant him a way out and grant him sustenance from places he could not imagine. And grant him sustenance from places he could not imagine. What does this mean? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if you are God conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you're thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made prohibited for you, and you stay away from that. If you know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made as He commanded you to do that, and you do that. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prohibited you to do, you abstain from that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded you to do, and you do that. You know what is good for you, and you know what's bad, and you stay away from the bad, and you know what is good. This is God consciousness. You're thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there. If you know that, Allah will grant him a way out. Allah will grant you a way out. If you look at the story, what do you find? There are 3 individuals. They're in difficulty. They remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted them a way out. They were conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They did not give up hope. They did not say that we are defeated. you will die, they remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They were conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They knew Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can save them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the power to save them. They were conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted them a way out. The female, the cousin of this man, she feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted her as well a way out. She told her cousin, the man, no, O slave of Allah, fear Allah. So he feared Allah, and because of what she done, she left, and she left with the money, and he did not ask for the money. She left because she feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So to fear Allah, Allah grants you sustenance from places you could not imagine, places you could not imagine. So if you can imagine you will get the sustenance from that individual or that place, that is not what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking. He's speaking from a different place. So let's say you have the ability to steal this money in front of you. You need that money. You're in desperate need of that money. It's in front of you. You can either steal that money or you can be God conscious. So you fear Allah. Okay. If you took that money, yes, that money will be yours. That is your money. I mean, it's in your possession. It's not your money. It's all that person's money, but in your possession. But if you had to fear Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have maybe have someone come to you and give you money. It might have been that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given that money in front of you to you. Whereby the person comes, the owner of the person or the money, and gives it to you as sadaqah. You do not know at all what will happen. But if you fear Allah and you do not take that, know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give other ways out for you. And you get so many stories of people who fear Allah and they get sustenance from places they could not imagine. People come from other places that they had never thought of and grant them sustenance. It's very important to know that. If you fear Allah, Allah grants you that. Benefits derived from this hadith, number 8. Know Allah in prosperity, He will know you in hardship. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, or the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, know Allah in prosperity. Know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when everything goes easy. Everything is, joyful. Everything is nice. Know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will then know you in hardship, in a state of difficulty. The three individuals, they remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a time, it was easy for them to remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning, they were not in difficulty in themselves. The first one, he remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he showed kindness and righteousness towards his parents. The second one, he remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he left from that position he was in. And the third, he fulfilled the trust that was bestowed upon him by the wage. So they could have do other things there. The first one could have just forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and give his children. The second person could have forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and commit that evil act. Third person could have forget about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and take everything for him. But they remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and everything went well. Now they were in a position of difficulty. Now Allah remembers them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted them a way out. Very important. If you're in a situation, everything goes easy, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you have a lot of money, give sadaqah, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you have power, you have energy, you can do things, help, volunteer, do those things. For a time when you don't have money, Allah remembers you, people give you money. The time when you can't volunteer, people will help and assist you. So remember, know Allah in prosperity, He will know you in hardship. Benefits derived from this hadith, number 9. Righteousness and kindness to one's parents take preference over one's spouse or child, more so when they are old. It is also one of the greatest actions that Allah loves and brings you closer to Him. And the reason for this is normally when a parent is old, you forget about them. Normally when they are old or you went on with your life, you forget about them. Especially now, you'll find that individuals, maybe, they are on campus, at university, and they left the province to come to Cape Town, and they forget about their parents because they're busy with their own, worries. I mean, studies and so forth. Some individuals will get married, and when they're married and their own children, now they worry about their own children and they forget about their parents. And this is a cycle that goes all the time on and on and on. But this individual did not forget about his parents. He had children. He had his own life. He had to do things. He had to go out and work. But yet he did not forget about his parents. He had to go out, graze with the sheep and all those things. He came out at night. He did not forget about his parents. How much of us we say that we don't have time for parents because we're working? How much of us we say we don't have time for parents because we are studying? How much of us we don't have time for parents because we want to spend some time with our friends or whatever it might be? But we forget that the greatest of righteousness, the greatest of actions is actually that of being kind to your parents. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, your Lord has decreed, do not worship any but him, any God but him. Be good to your parents. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed on the same line, on the same, the same level to worship, not to worship other than him, and to be dutiful towards your parents. To show you the level of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing that being righteous towards your parents is like not associating partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like on the same level. Like you should not associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You should not in any way, treat your parents harshly. You should respect them and treat them with kindness. And should both or any of them attain old age with you, do not say to them, now the word in Arabic is used uff, and this is its fi. Neither chide them, do not scold at them, but speak to them with respect. Now this word, it says a fi, but in Arabic it's uff. Now what does it mean by uff? Okay. Uff here means, sometimes when someone nags on you, then say, or someone, your parents tell you to do something, and say, yeah, I don't do this now. Or I don't want to do this. And say, yeah, must I do this again? That is like uff. It's like they tell you something and say, uff. You're blowing out uff. Now, the Quran says you shouldn't even blow out for them. You should give them so much kindness and so much respect. You shouldn't even do that. You shouldn't even say for them. And this is, again, a righteous deed. And because of that righteous deed, the boulder open up for them, a bit of it, because of this deed of showing righteousness towards the parents. Okay. Benefits derived from this hadith number 10. Not every person who commits a sin by succumbing to his or her desires is entitled to the anger of Allah. Evidence: this man wanted to satisfy sexual desires with his cousin, but he made tawbah and returned to Allah before completing the sin due to him being fearful of Allah. This type of action is praiseworthy and rewarded, as he stopped himself from following his desires and completing the sin. A person might fall in sin and make tawbah, and Allah accept his tawbah, and his condition with Allah after tawbah is much better than before. Okay. So what is mentioned here is that this is the story of the second individual who had a cousin. So he wanted to fulfill his desires with his cousin. So what's meant here is that sometimes we perform a sin, and we are about to commit that sin, and we're busy committing that sin, and in the middle of a sin we stop and we control ourselves and we stop following our desires and we get close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That stopping because you're fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a great action in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So even though you'll find individuals that might do something and they might commit a sin, but before they complete that sin, they stop and they fear Allah. The reason for this is because while you are in a sin, it's very difficult to stop. But you are stopping because out of fear of Allah, and because of the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards you for that. It's a great action in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a great action. If you're about, for example, to hurt someone, but then you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you stop doing so. So you're about to walk and to hit someone or to box someone or whatever, or to steal something from someone, and as you're walking, to commit a sin, you stop and you fear Allah. That stopping and fearing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a reward in itself, a great action inside of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because you're fearing Allah, because of this fear. And how much people who committed sin and then they stopped and they became better people, or they were busy committing sin all the time and they stopped and they became better people there afterwards. And we can't judge, like we said before, we only judge action or judge on the endings. So, like I mentioned in the previous hadith stories, we spoke about this. That we see individuals, we don't know what they have done in the past, but we wonder what they are doing now. So, if they've done something in the past, that's between them and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But if they're good now, we take them to be good, because they might have changed completely, a total transformation, and become better people thereafter. So many times we find, as we mentioned, the story of Umar radiallahu anhu, who buried his own daughter alive and became the best of people. So we find this happening constantly. Okay. Benefits derived from this hadith number 11. Necessity might drive a pious man or a woman to commit evil actions. Okay. So necessity. And this woman was actually pious. How do we know? Because she told the man to fear Allah. She told the man to fear Allah. O slave of Allah. Reminded him he's a slave of Allah and to fear Allah. So she was pious, but she was driven to this because, of necessity. She needed the money, maybe. This can be seen in a story where the woman was compelled by the need of wealth to commit an evil action. So sometimes you might find pious people doing evil deeds, but you don't know why. It might be because of necessity they're doing it. They have no way else out. For some reason they can't, they have to do that. So we can't judge people. We don't know the reason behind that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala judge people by their intentions. We're not saying that the action is good what they're doing. We're not saying that it's right what they are doing, but sometimes you're compelled to do certain things. What can we do? Sometimes you desire to stick over yourself and you can't restrain yourself. Benefits derived from this hadith. Poverty promotes evil. This female, due to economical status, led her to commit an evil action. Thus, those who spend on the poor, destitute, orphans, and widows are preventing them from committing such actions out of desperation. So it's good to give sadaqah to others. You're preventing them from committing sins. And you can find what's happening now as well because of this lockdown. You find many people that are breaking in places because they don't have food, they don't have money, and because of the poverty, it's actually leading them to do this evil actions of breaking in. So it's for us to give sadaqah, to give and to help those individuals who are poor, and that in a way will bring about harmony in society. Benefits derived from this hadith number 13. Virtues of fulfilling of trust and preserving rights of one's employees. The employer protected and invested the money of the employee. Preserving the rights of one's employees is a great action in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is very important because a lot of times we think that, we don't worry about our employees, we can do, we just do whatever we want to as employers. But we forget, by respecting them and granting them the rights and being, good to them is actually a great action in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a great deed. That deed caused the rock to move. It's a great deed in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Being trustworthy and being a person to fulfill the trust. And doing that, and again, in a way, helping out and fulfilling the rights of the employee is actually a great deed. People forget about these things. They exploit, people left, right, and center. But only if they knew that the employees, if they give them the rights, then it is actually holding the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Benefits derived from this hadith number 14. The employer was kind to the employee by growing the employee's wealth. However, the employee did not return this act of kindness. It would have been upon the employee to leave a sum of wealth for the employer for his efforts. Okay, so employer, gave everything away, and the employee did not leave him anything. It's just of good actions. In this hadith, we find out that it shows you, the employer was such a good person. You didn't worry about taking any wage from actually investing his money. You don't take any profits from investing. You just gave everything away. But from us, we should learn as well. If people, do good to us, we should return with kindness. But it shows you the employer did not worry. He was such a good person that he did not even worry about taking any wage for his efforts that he'd done. And this is the last benefits derived from this hadith. Distancing oneself from illegal sexual relationships and evil actions bring goodness to one's life. This is because of a hadith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Man taraka shay'an lillah awwadahu Allah khayrun minhu. Whoever leaves something for Allah's sake, he replaces it with something better. He replaces it with something better. You leave something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. We find this as well. What happened? The man, he left that act, that illegal or that ugly act of committing that obscene act of sleeping with his cousin. He left that. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him something better. What was that? He got a good deed. He got a good deed that he can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by to actually open up the boulder, the mouth of the cave, to move the boulder to actually open up the mouth of the cave for him to leave. It shows you that if you leave anything for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, any evil, sometimes you can do evil, but you're leaving for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, you will see that there has to be something better that will come to you. Other times, you could have performed some haram thing, but you left it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. Someone told you, to do something haram, but you said, no, rather don't do it. And now you left it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, He gave something better to you. Or you left something because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You left maybe, working to learn the deen of Allah. So you left working to earn an income, which is halal, but you left that to learn the deen of Allah. Then Allah gives you something better. Allah will give you better than the wealth you have earned from working. You might get happiness in your life. You might even get the wealth, even more. You don't know what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can give. His bounties, and it's endless what He can give you. But what you take from this is that whenever you leave something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, be it halal or haram, but for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake, He will grant you better in return. Whatever it might be. Whatever it might be. You'll find many people, while you find hufaz, those who memorize the Quran, they left the youth to go out to memorize the Quran. You see how happy they are. Allah grants them all these good things in their lives. Some people who studied overseas and went out and left their families, they come back, all good things happening in their lives. They're leaving things for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. You find people who goes out and help others. They leave their work, but they go out to volunteer. Those who are actually volunteering now because of the COVID-19, they're leaving their families. Allah can give you something better in return. So if you leave something for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will always give you something better in return. And you will end off with the question to yourself. If you were in the same situation as these individuals, which righteous action would you use to gain the nearness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Think to yourself, have you ever thought about this? If you were in that situation and now you have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of an action you've done, could you actually pinpoint an action of good that you have done only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake? There might be many actions you have done, but it might be for worldly gains. But can you actually pinpoint something that was done sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake? It was for no one else. You done it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. This is something to think about. It's something that you should try as well to live your life with. That you should go on your life by doing good actions and to remember a situation whereby you actually need that action. So whatever you do of good, you're saying this is only for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake. With the intention, if you need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you have good action. Meaning, the intention shouldn't be for that. But if it has happened, you should know that you're doing everything sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'll leave you with this. Know that whenever you do something, always do it sincerely for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when things are easy, and joyous, in prosperity, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala know you in times of difficulty and in times of hardship. Always remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and always try to do whatever you can for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sake alone. And if you do that, you'll find the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will descend upon you, and you will, in a way, inshallah, grant, in a way, you will actually taste the sweetness of faith. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all to actually meet again together, bi'idhnillah, next week. And if we do leave this world, that we all leave this world with iman, with faith, and meet together in Jannah. وآخر دعواهم الحمد لله رب العالمين. Inshallah, I will look at the questions. If you have any questions to ask, you might want to ask questions. You can type whatever questions you would like to ask, inshallah. Any questions? If you like to use your microphone, you are welcome to do that as well. You can unmute yourself and you can ask a question if you would like to do that.
And doesn't have to be strictly related to the Hadith. It can be any question about Islam that you would like Sheikh to answer.
Yes, any question you might have. If you know the answer, I'll answer. If we don't know the answer, inshallah, next week, inshallah, I will do some research and convey the answer, inshallah. No questions? Okay. If there's no questions, then we can end, inshallah. But if you don't have questions now, and you might maybe think of other questions, either relating to this or something else, then you're welcome to keep them for next week, inshallah, and we can address them then. But if there's no questions now, we'll end off, and I'll hand it over to Ilyas, inshallah.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'd just like to take this opportunity to say Jazakallah khairan to Sheikh Khalid for really wonderful talk. We ask that Allah bless you, Allah increase you, and that we can continue to benefit from your knowledge and your wisdom. Something that I really liked at the end was you spoke about how everything that happens in life is a test from Allah. When things are going well for you, that's also a test. When things are going badly for you, that's also a test. And it reminds me of something that one of my sheikhs said, that when things are going well for you, you must have shukr, and when things are going badly for you, you must have sabr. But you must always direct the sabr to Allah, and you direct the shukr to Allah as well. So whatever happens to you, you always direct it to Allah in some way. And I think that's a very important message, and I think it links very well with our theme as MSA, which is to connect with Allah. And we hope that through these talks, it can be a space by which we can facilitate that connection with Allah. And inshallah, we will see you all next week, and hopefully the week after. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.